There's one question I always get asked in the gym, and that is, what do I need to do to get shoulders like you? Which is a very fair question. My shoulders are, without a doubt, the best part of my physique. But there is one problem. I haven't trained my shoulders in years. How can this be? I must be lying. I get very regular accusations from people in the gym saying, oh, I must train shoulders. It's impossible that I don't. And I just ask them, have you ever seen me train shoulders? No. Then the accusations further, it's, oh, you must be on steroids, or you are training shoulders in the morning before you come to gym every single day so that they're overdeveloped. None of this is true. It's complete nonsense. The truth is, I try to get my shoulders to stop growing because they're so out of proportion with everything else in my body. But no matter how I switch up my training routine, no matter how much I try to exclude them and focus on other muscle groups, they just continue to grow. So what's my secret? Well, my secret to my overdeveloped shoulders is, in fact, the greatest secret in the fitness industry. And it's not steroids, it's genetics. So although when I started, I used to train my shoulders and that got the first stages of development out of the way, a lot of it is due to genetics. You may look at a fitness influencer that you love and really admire their physique and think that buying their course or joining their app or doing whatever, eating the way they do, training the way they do, is gonna make you look like them. And unfortunately, it's just not. Anyone who sells you a guideline that's gonna make you look exactly like them is probably lying to you. Their programs may be great. I have nothing against fitness programs. It may be a great developing factor to get you to your genetic potential. You'll never look like David Lade unless you're genetically predisposed to a tiny little waist and massive shoulders. You'll never look like Arnold unless you have his incredibly low chest insertions and ridiculous biceps. And while you can build really great shoulders, you might not have the same genetic advantages I have. And so it might not be as easy to build shoulders for you as it was for me. My genetics also seem to be optimized for fast twitch muscle fibers, which makes me very good at fast explosive movements, whereas I'm slightly worse at endurance. So why does this matter? Well, there are 3 different types of muscle fibers, 2 fast twitch, 1 slow twitch. Now, fast twitch muscle fibers are actually larger, and so the more you train for them, the bigger your muscles will be. These fast twitch muscle fibers hold less energy but are very good for fast explosive movements, while slow twitch muscle fibers hold a lot more energy but are very good for long repetitive movements like endurance running and stuff like that. And this is a big reason why people who train fast twitch muscle fibers end up with bigger muscles than people who don't. You might think runners will all have the same physique, but if you look at sprinters who use fast twitch muscle fibers versus endurance runners, they have very different looking physiques. An untrained person probably has 50-50 fast twitch muscle fibers and slow twitch muscle fibers. Now, we're all gonna have a genetic predisposition to how easy it is to build each of these muscle fibers. Some people find it more easy to build more endurance slow twitch muscle fibers, while others, like myself, find it easier to put on fast twitch muscle fibers, which help with explosive movements. But don't be discouraged if you don't think you have the genetics for fast twitch muscle fibers, because the muscle fibers we have in our body are actually mostly determined by the type of training we do. That means if you do more heavy weight training, more explosive movements, you're going to develop more fast twitch muscle fibers. Another key factor when it comes to the way our bodies look is our hormones. Now, there's a lot of environmental factors that play into hormones, and we are often fighting a losing battle at the moment with a lot of environmental factors into our testosterone production. However, some people, like myself, are maybe genetically more predisposed to higher levels of testosterone. My blood work has me over 1,000 nanograms per deciliter, whereas you may be around 300 or 400, and through supplementation or HRT or something, you may be able to get it up. Another thing that will get it up is heavy weight training. Your muscles may either respond to free testosterone or they may not. Some people may have ridiculously high free testosterone, but their muscles might not be hyper responding to the amount of testosterone they have, whereas some people might be hyper responders and might need a lot less testosterone in order to get bigger muscles. But if you're a beginner and you're looking at these genetic advantages that people have, don't be discouraged. This is not something you need to worry about. Your genetic advantages might be in other places. For instance, my upper body grows at a ridiculous rate, but in such a way that it's actually a disadvantage because my legs take a long time to grow, and I have to train them about twice as hard for them to even be 80% of what my upper body is. You may be fortunate enough to have a more balanced physique where everything sort of stays in proportion and you don't get made fun of for having chicken legs even though you work them much harder than everything else. You may have better ab symmetry than others. You may have better calves, chest, shoulders, back, or anything. But the point is this is what I looked like before I started, and I would have had no idea of my genetic potential. I wouldn't have assumed that it would have been very difficult for me to put on muscle, and it turned out to be a lot easier than I thought it would be. But understand that your development is independent to you. You'll never know your potential unless you start. But don't compare yourself to anybody else's journey. Only look at your own journey.